Congratulations on that.
Yay.
That's wonderful, and it looks beautiful.
Thank you so
It
much.
sounds beautiful. I mean, it's a music
It's,
video.
well, I was very spoiled. I got to work with Mary Lattimore, who's like a unbelievably talented, a wickedly talented, does seem. If Logan and I, if my boyfriend and I want to make each other laugh, all we have to do is just say the wickedly talented, and then we both die. Welcome to Clear the Doom, everyone, with a special guest today, Walt Gray.
Woo. Welcome, Walt.
What up, Twitchers?
Actor, and actor. He's a multi-hyphenate actor, multi-talented. He can do it all. Voice, motion capture, on camera, theater, you name it. It's very rare these days to find like a pure actor, Walt.
What does that mean, a pure actor?
Means
So
you
I
haven't
know.
been jaded yet. Oh wait, no.
Yeah, no,
No, I mean you're the most jaded. No.
This pandemic has helped that process along, but that's okay.
No, yeah, exactly. Your purity is cracking finally.
It's been cracking for a while, but it's cracking in style. It's like falling with style. You want to crack with a smile on your face and make sure everybody's enjoying it with you, and that they don't think too much that you have too crazy of eyes. And then you're like, oh, we're having fun, right? This is fun. We're fine. Everything's fine.
See, this is acting. Everyone. The most important thing when you're playing a character, no matter what, if you're losing your mind, you're trying not to. If you're crumpling, you're trying not to show it. There are multiple layers, and Walt is the master of the layer. You're great at that.
I'll take that. Thank you. Cheers.
Someone in the chat, Daniel says he's so pure.
He is so pure. Hello, Daniel.
Daniel's never met me. Daniel would know better. I don't get to see the chat, right? I'm stuck in Zoom land, but you guys have Twitch because I'm not on my system.
You can just pull it up on your phone.
Yeah. Just make sure you turn the phone volume down because I forget that a lot.
Okay.
And then you can watch yourself in the side of your eye.
Yeah, or you just look like me, like I'm like an asshole and like Jen Hale's talking and I'm just like, yeah, totally. No, I'm trying to engage with Twitch and talk to the people, I swear.
You gotta get a little mount. Look at this guy.
A mount with a light ring, right?
Oh my God. Julia, you're in the driver's seat now.
I sure am.
Oh my God, command center.
Full steam ahead.
So we'll just do a quick introduction, I guess. We should do that so that everybody who's joining us out in Twitchland knows a little bit about Walt. And Walt has such a cool resume, especially for this kind of a milieu, because he's worked a lot in games on a lot of your favorite games, some of which he's even allowed to talk about. So maybe you can give us like a little background on yourself, Walt, for those who haven't been introduced.
Yeah. Hello. Welcome. Happy afternoon. I am Walter Gray IV here with the ones and onlys, Julia and Hari, and the Halp Network, respectively. They've been kind enough to have me on today. I am an actor, hyphenate, all the things that Hari just said, and I've been fortunate enough to work with these wonderful people lately on a number of different aspects, casting, being directed by Hari on a project. She was phenomenal. Most recently, being honored enough to be one of the many coaches on Skills Hub, which Commander Hale talked to you guys about last time you had this entry. And that has been a wonderfully, not surprising, but a wonderful reminder that the coaching at home, how just lovely it is to connect with people and work with people in anything. They're not paying me to say this, but on both sides, I've heard coaching, from my personal experience coaching, and people coming in and working with me, whether it's an audition or I'm just starting out, what do I need? Connecting with someone and having a rapport and learning from each other as we do it, and learning a different way to coach because it's a different human being. All of that most recently is in my mind, and I felt the need to say all at once just now, and it's been wonderful. So that's me in a small nutshell. I worked at Sony Interactive Entertainment America for over 8 years on their motion capture stage, back when it used to be at Culver City and they used to rent the stage, and then now they're in Playa Vista, their own stages right next to Santa Monica Studios, home of God of War and many other lovely titles. But that's the big one lately. And shot and worked on name a game in the past 10 years, especially from Sony. Chances are I helped in some way, either as a key set production assistant, or if I was lucky enough, auditioned and got to lend my voice or motion capture to it, or both if I was very lucky. And throughout that experience in my life, that chapter in my life, got to meet some wonderful and amazing people. I think that's good. We have an hour and a half, right? So I should stop.
No, keep going. I mean, what I love about that story, Walt, is it really lends itself very cleanly to some of the themes that Julia and I like to talk about on this little show we just started.
Wonderful. Okay.
Finding what we like to talk about. But I remember when I first got started, everybody was like, and this is when I'm very young, very green, very like, oh, the world is my oyster and I'm going to be an actor and it's going to be great. They were like, don't do anything else in the industry. It will confuse them. You shouldn't do anything else, because then they won't know what you want. And then you won't get to be an actor because you're also writing or you're also doing these other things. Now we all know, cut to everything else that's happened and everything good, that most people had to create something amazing for themselves, and all of the shows that we love, like I May Destroy You and Fleabag and all these great things. Atlanta happened because somebody did everything and had to, because the industry had such a narrow idea of what was sellable, that in order, especially for marginalized people, women, people of color, LGBTQ, we had to like make our own stuff because they just didn't know what to do with us. We didn't have the demographics.
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool to hear stories like yours, and I would love to have you tell me a little bit more about how you were able to take a career working alongside the thing you like, similarly to what I do at the Halp Network. And it also becomes a way that you get to be acting more or learning more about your passion and what you want to be doing, full time, even if that can't necessarily be the reality for you at the time. So
yeah,
tell me a little.
I hope to answer all of that as succinctly as possible, but also
It's not a question. It's just a continuation.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love everything you just said. It is fascinating. I feel we've all experienced this personally as human beings, and in our professional lives, in our career choices, which have been many, in order to survive. That's the fascinating thing, right? Like, there's that terrible stereotypical. It's not a joke, but I've heard in my life, I think other people have heard. Maybe you're at a diner and your waiter or waitress is just like, oh yeah, I'm a performer. And I was like, well, clearly you're not. You're waiting. How the hell do you expect anybody to survive without a day job, or in this economy, three day jobs? There's that too, which unfortunately in SoCal, it seems that, in my immediate vicinity, how can somebody afford these places? Anyway, I cannot relate to that too much. I'm an East Coast, I am a transplant. Most of the people in LA aren't from LA, right?
We're all from the East Coast, everyone here.
I think that's why this all works so well. We're just like, yes.
If you know what the Wawa is.
Yeah, I am a Sheetz fan, but we can have that fight later. I appreciate the Wawa. Although the last time I was there, I don't have a memory of it because I was gone It was 3 a.m.
The
Anyway,
only time to go to Wawa.
the only time to go to Wawa, the best time to go to Wawa. No, it is fascinating. Like, and there was for a while during that 8 years of being a production assistant, and I got that through a good friend of mine who I knew through UCLA, who had graduated from UCLA. He was already working on the stage with Bill Beamer, who was running the stage at the time. Needed a new production assistant. They had a workshop there with Gordon Hunt and Amy Hennig that was based on some of the Uncharted stuff, and it blew my mind and I loved it. And Bill said we need a new PA. That, with my friends' encouragement, got me in, and I stayed and I loved it. So that's how I got into it. And I've always loved video games, especially in the past however many years, where storytelling has really taken a forefront to not just the playability. But one of the first projects I worked on, one of my first shoot days, was The Last of Us. And, that being so emotionally driven and just learning, oh my God, this is acting. Every project we were bringing on, there was, everyone's acting. It's motion captured. People are performing. But it was really like, oh wow, this is theater. This is I can relate to this. And I love video games, and look at these worlds coming together. I was extremely fortunate to have the opportunity to have come in to Sony that way. And again, throughout the years, learning about the technology, learning how the technology works, which is invaluable to the profession of acting, because when you book that gig, so many things that a lot of actors, having not worked in motion capture before, with the suit, with the HMCs, with the stage, with everything, all of those things can be very distracting if you've never done that before. And it's a blessing to just, none of that bothers me. I just get to show up and do my work, be off book, and so hopefully know my lines. Yeah.
You knew the tech. That's something, I mean, in the beginning, Julia, you could probably speak to this, but most of the mocap actors in the very, very beginning were people who worked in the offices.
There's still
and still to this day, right?
Yeah, there's still a handful of cases where someone will just, on animation sets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, animators are doing that all the time themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, but for
what was that one you showed me, Hellblade?
Yeah, Hellblade is like the perfect
right?
example. She was the I think she was the video editor or something like that.
Yeah.
And they used her for placeholder facial capture, and it was so emotionally raw and incredible. She ended up doing that role for all the games.
My dog is eating his food bowl right now in an attempt to let me know that he's very dismayed that he's not eating food from the food bowl. If you see me on my phone right now, I'm desperately trying to get Logan to come feed him. This is real life, guys.
It's quite all right. This entire time that I've been trying to answer your question, I've been trying to set a new password on Twitch so I could get in and see everybody's comments. So.
Well, there is one comment I was going to read out, which was from Myhan, which was, do you play the games you're in, and do you recognize your work as you're playing? Like, hey, that was me. I'm super curious about the answer to that on mocap. Can you tell?
That's a great question.
Mocap data, if you didn't necessarily know kind of what role you were playing.
Yeah, it's funny. If there was, throughout the years of shooting for a game, it can, you could, there could be one day that you had a year ago and you have 10 different scenes that you did. And it's not until you see the finished products 4 years later that you go, these lines sound familiar. Oh, and okay, I think I know. I can't make it. Just tell me if there's any comments. I think I remember this. This seems familiar. I know that there's some instances in Avengers where they just had me be extra like aim guys, and Cap would throw his shield and we'd get hit. And so I know in the cinematic, hey, that's me getting hit or whatever. So there's moments like that. But if I'm lucky enough to do enough days on a shoot, I will lose track of, who I was when. Unless the memory of the shoot day. There was a shoot day on Last of Us 2 where I was just helping in a cinematic, be an extra person, and just help a wounded Ashley Birch off of a truck. And I just know, watching the game, that's me in the suit, but it's somebody else's voice saying "got it" or whatever. that they put in post. So like I kind of know the Frankenstein-y bits of partly my performance with somebody else's performance and so on and so forth, but not always, especially if it's been a while.
Yeah, when the thing comes out like 6 months to 2 years later, you're not going to remember the days and the specifics. But I have had moments with even looping where I'll be like, I just heard my voice, or Logan will hear my voice and things that I can't hear, but he's like, I know what your voice sounds like, so he'll hear it.
Yeah.
So back to that point though, because I think this is really relevant for a lot of actors, and Julia, I'd love to know your thoughts. Is like Julia is the kind of person who's always she's not going to discredit you because she met you as a PA. She's going to be like, oh, you're telling me you're an actor. I understand that you need a job. But there is such a fine line with how to behave when you are trying to both work as the talent, but you are not being employed as the talent that day. And I think, Julia, maybe you can speak a little bit to your experience with like being able to see that someone, has an ability that may not be what they were hired to do that day.
Sure. I mean, I think one of the things that is most admirable is when actors come in and work to learn the place before getting the job. But honestly, it doesn't matter what position it is, in a studio, on a mocap stage, in entertainment in general. The one thing you cannot teach is discretion and tact.
Well said.
And so people just have it or they don't.
I know, I was going to say it's not even worth talking about, because quite honestly, the person who is lacking it will not be sitting here watching this going, oh, that's me, I should probably not do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't instantaneously know that it's probably not a good idea to walk up to the director and suggest that you get in the suit that day when you have not been hired, I don't know that I can tell you not to do that. But there is sort of a nuance to being able to work and also making sure that people know what you do, but not in an imposing way.
Yeah.
And that you're ready and willing to help in any way. I think that's it. It's more of like a willingness to help, a willingness to learn, and a willingness to help.
I think that's exactly it. Because we were all at a place before the one we're at now where we needed help to get there. And even just for casting, I needed people to take chances on me before I had credits under my belt and all that. And there is a nuance to selling yourself and not being overbearing, but making sure people know, because if you don't say anything, then people don't know you have any other goals or outside interests. I mean, how I got in the industry in the first place was as a receptionist, and then ended up in the sound department. But like,
that's right.
It's networking.
I forgot about that.
It's networking. It's asking questions and being truly interested in what that answer is. And there's so many people that won't even ask the question, but will maybe then ask, or the ones that will ask the question but don't really care about the answer. They just want to get to the end goal. So they'll take you out to a lunch and like, how did you get to do X, Y, or Z? Yes. Oh, you mean work hard? No, like, or they won't even pay for the lunch and they ask you all those questions. That's the shit.
Well, and that the end goal is, it's always coming down to, will you hire me? And right. You know it's there, it's hanging there. And it's not about, can we get a relationship that both I could learn from and then take into other that's the other thing is just networking. You can't be single focused on. You need to know that you spread a very wide net. You meet a lot of people, you learn from all of them. And then the job may not even come from one of them. It might come from something totally different. But if you have friends that are in different positions where they can help you know more about like the level that they've achieved, mm-hmm. It just helps you kind of be prepared for the things that might come your way later. So you can't be short-sighted about things, I guess.
And you never know what positions those people are going to have, because I bet that there were people that didn't treat you, Walt, like you were going to be directing them now. I mean, I'm sure they did mostly because you're pretty nice, and I can't imagine people treating you like shit. And if they did, I'll beat them up.
Were people jerks to you as a PA?
One of the things I said at the end of you can
name names.
I can't name names, but I want to. No, it is on that note, just answering your question right now, it is fascinating on the production side of a shoot, immediately understanding what actor is there to work with the team versus what actor is there to show off, whether they're conscious of that or not. And the team member actor is the one saying hello to everybody, is the one making eye contact, is the one asking, have we met before? Oh, you're new in makeup. It's so nice to meet you. I tend to twitch. So, if you're doing my dots, I'll try to be still, whatever that is. Now I will name names because it's positive. I've said this to anybody that'll listen. Phil Morris, who's been acting his entire life, who was in Spider-Man, who was in Days Gone, but he's been, he's the lawyer in Seinfeld. And I actually just saw him in a Star Trek movie from the 80s, I think. I think it was 3. And he was in Star Trek before that. Anyway, he is the epitome, I feel, of just professional, prepared, but when he's on set, he is present and he is openly communicating with everyone that he needs to communicate. That's stage, that's makeup, that's sound, that's, and he's not the only one, but he just always pops into mind because he's just a consummate professional. And anytime I get to watch him work as an actor or off stage, just as a human being, it informs so much. He's a great teacher just by osmosis. It's just amazing to soak in how certain people interact with those that you may never see again, but we're all working together towards the same goal. And that is a huge lesson for anyone in any position. And that's one of the biggest ones I've learned.
It's really important. Humbleness and humility, and remembering you're a small part of a very large thing, but it comes with a lot of false promises of glamour and, ego stroking and all of this great stuff. But you do have to just often kind of be the one to stroke your own ego. I know this is just opening it up. But
if you can.
I think you have to know that you're the one who needs to validate yourself that day. And then ask yourself, what can you give to the space? Like, that's just like a great practice in everything you do. Even in a meeting, if you're kind of dreading going to a meeting, just like ask yourself, like, what can I bring to this today? How can I change my energy so that when I'm in this space, I'm contributing and I'm not like taking away, making it about me, and you'll take things so much less personally. But I think that's the part of being, slogging away for 8 years as a PA. You're going to learn, I'm watching actors who are getting a lot of work and I'm seeing what they do. And that, you definitely have taken that on. I can say that just from directing you. You come in and you are just the way you described this actor. You're a delight for everyone to deal with that day. And we do have to deal with you in some ways.
No, that's good to hear. And on the other side of that is, as director, you were very good. We're just, the rest of this is Hari and I just patting each other's back. So sorry, guys. But one of the challenges of the director was, I still, at this age and at this experience in my life, self-deprecation creeps in because there was years of that, just like, it took me a very long time after getting off stage from a theater performance, taking a compliment. That was huge. And a lot of actors are still, a lot of performers, or it doesn't need to be performers, but anyone that is good at their job, for whatever reason, at some point, we learned not to accept that praise and go, thank you. And that's it. Thank you. You're right. Yeah, great. And then think on it later, as opposed to going, oh, I messed up that line and that when I was late for that thing and I forgot my prop and, and then the person giving you the compliment goes, maybe you weren't all that. Maybe I shouldn't have given you a compliment. But you as a director, Hari, during some of that, when I started to slip into that, you would immediately just be like, no, that's not why we're here. This is not why you're here. This is not why I'm here. And it was just a great.
I tend to kibosh that.
Yeah, you're really good at that. I love it, and it helps. It helps me go right.
Well, you are not. It's not troublesome, and it doesn't get in the way. But for some actors, it does get in the way. It causes us to then have to do a lot more work to deal with their own insecurities. So instead of because everything comes down to, in games, in case you don't know this, for anyone who's watching, it really comes down to time. Time is money in games recording more than anything I've ever worked in. Like in film sets, they will understand how long a setup will take. And a day can be devoted to that amount of time and the buffers. We have no buffer. There is no fat. And so if I
it's also new technology. I'm just inserting that in there. So it's like
Every
always
year.
new tech every year. And
Yeah.
so the learning curve is just, it's not like the same shit you did for the last 5 films.
Yes,
Totally.
yes, exactly. And because of that, if an actor needs me to constantly reassure them that they're doing a great job, they can't accept it if I do tell them that they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Or worse than that, the absolute worst thing you can do in a session with me is self-direct and like start to tell me that it's not good what you just did, even if I liked it, or start to tell, get in. Well, it's just getting in your head. You're not allowing the collaboration to happen, which is like, I'm here to tell you, you can rely on me. I'm your outside, eyes and ears. You're doing a great job.
That's the trust relationship. And that is also part of it that I think is fascinating. Performers that have it and don't have it, especially if it's a director they've never met with or worked before. There's a modicum of like, okay, let's work together. Let's see how we communicate. And it's going to be different than how I communicated with that director last week in the booth or whatever. And there are a few things worse, not worse. But frustrating when you have a certain time, but the client's like, okay, we got to wrap it 5 till, get the actor out of there. Otherwise we got to pay them more or whatever. This needs to be done at this deadline. And that's the director. You go, okay, engineer ready. We got to get all these lines. And then you get it. You give them a little adjustment. They do 4 takes. The 4th take, they nailed it. You go, that was it. Thank you. Moving on. And then the performer goes, oh wait, I got another one. I can do it. I can do it better. I'm gonna do it better. It didn't last too long. Yeah. And then you're just like
coming out of my ear.
We got it. And then there's that thing of like, no, we got it. We're gonna move on. And either the actor just goes, oh man, like I could do it better. And then they're in that mindset as they go to the next size. Or what I love to do now is try to not question it. Just if I hear that was it, great, moving on. I know we have 400 screaming lines in 2 hours, and it's ending on me being burned alive today. If you say it's good, I will trust you. Let's go. That's all we can do.
Except that you will still have that voice. There will still be that you'll get in your car at the end of the day and you'll go, oh my God, was I so horrible? Are they going to fire me tonight and replace me?
Right.
And that's yours to deal with. That's yours to do all your work that we do. And we have lots of help with that at the Halp Network that we can offer with classes and things like that. But that's your work as an actor.
Not on the job. Yes.
You can't bring it into the session. And specifics, just for context, is on the job we were on together was a facial capture job. And you had to do long chunks of dialogue often. And it was a lot of memorizing, and not just memorizing words, but memorizing phrasing, inflection, where breaths went. And that is like
where they were looking.
Yeah, I mean, we had all the fun stuff that you got to do where you were making all the crazy faces, but the dialogue stuff and doing that was incredibly difficult. And one of the worst things for me is if an actor stops themselves in a mid
long take. Yeah, sure.
I want you to just keep going because A, it's rehearsal. B, we might get something great.
Yeah, it might be able to.
The same goes for VO. If you are deciding in the middle of the take, that's a bad one. If you didn't flub, continue the take, because it could be someone's favorite, and you just killed it. Like, why did you do that?
I've experienced that so many times, helping friends out. You know, they'll start and like, oh, you know, maybe after some adjustments or after a couple of minutes, like, yes. No, let's start over. It's like, why'd you stop? Why did you stop? It was perfect. It was everything you wanted. It was the right set. You did everything you said you wanted to do. Oh, I did? Yes.
And
Trust yourself.
What does that tell us? It tells us they're in their critical mind. You're not in the character critics. And they're not in the moment. So that you're not doing well. If you're in your critical mind and you're stopping yourself, then you're not your character and you're not there.
That's been what you just said has been helping me a lot. And after I took Jeremy Hall's class through the Halp Network, that has helped me a lot. Make sure I trust my own voice and not try to put on a charactery voice, you know, come from my voice first and then tweak it if it calls for it. But then also just go, you know what? Just do it. Just don't hear the lines. Charlie Adler's a big fan of just not looking at it ahead of time. It's just like, here's the character. Okay, cold read. Wow, Jakey's, whatever. And you just do the whole thing, not knowing where the lines are going to go or where the punctuation is, because, you know, especially us theater actors, we like to really break down the script and where are the beats and why am I saying this when I'm saying this? And especially with animation, and in auditions, it's so helpful to just get rid of all that and play. And that's why I tell everybody that I coach, you get to play today. Every audition is an opportunity to play.
Yes, and that was what Ben Hale said the last time. That was really great too. Same thing, playing, like she was like, have the most fun that you can possibly have that day with it. And I've already been feeling a shift in my auditions just from hearing her say that just last week. Yeah. And one thing is, you know, rely on the waveforms. As the more I get into play while I'm recording, and then because I wasn't engineering my auditions for the first like half of my time, my boyfriend was just doing it, and I was like, this is great. I don't have to get the DAW. I don't have to figure it out, and he's working it. Well, we both had like way too much time on our hands when COVID shut down all of our jobs and everything. So we were doing it together, and the biggest thing ever since I started engineering myself is I'll love to mix up waveforms so that if they want two different takes of something, I can already tell you visually these two are super, super different. And I don't have to think about it when we're going at all. And that's the benefit of home recording and home auditioning and like working on engineering your own things, is that you get all that time to play and really like you're not on the clock with anybody.
It can get frustrating, especially with on-camera auditions for audition. But you know, I do this all the time. I see a lot of friends just get like worked up, and I always try to remind myself it is an opportunity, because yes, you might be strapped for time. It might be 11 at night and you're exhausted, but you get to do it as many times as you want, as you know, as awfully critiqued as we get. You know, we critique ourselves to the nth degree sometimes, but you have that opportunity. It's not a live audition, so you have that chance to make that mistake and do it again. And I try to look at the opportunities, take obstructions and turn them into opportunities, like that, you know, going to a meeting like you were saying, or having to do something for work. What am I looking forward to in this? Oh, nothing. Maybe I should do something else with my life. I don't know.
No problems, only solutions, like John.
Only solutions. And yeah, we've already talked about so many things.
We have some questions.
Yeah, because I never got to the chat. I could sign in, but I couldn't find the comments.
Before we go to the questions, I did want to ask you, Julia, how, when you're listening to auditions and things, like can you hear it when people are in their head or when they're second guessing versus somebody who's just having like a total blast?
Great question.
I think more than anything, you can just tell when someone's having a total blast, and not like they don't care about it having a total blast, like that they just are embracing whatever ridiculous thing was put in front of them. Because sometimes they're really ridiculous. And definitely you can absolutely hear it when you're having fun. And there's like, you listen to, 50 of these in a row sometimes. And a lot of them sound exactly the same. And while you're not looking for someone to necessarily turn it upside down, you can hear the ones that are reading, you can hear the ones that are putting that, like trying to put a voice on. And then you can hear the ones who are just like embracing the hell out of it and running with it and just kind of and playing.
And I know you've been asked this before, but how long typically into those auditions do you get before you go next?
It depends.
Sure.
The more auditions, the less time I will give at the top.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the first line, I make mistakes all the time. And some of the mistakes I make is not changing the order of lines that I've been provided by a client and not thinking about how that's going to torture me when I hear the same line times. And you're like, why did I start with that one? Why didn't I start with this other one? That would have been a much better choice. But I'd say
I hate, when it's just a nothing burger line
or an annoying line.
Like the line you Julia as the CD just don't like the writing, but it's your job and you have to promote, and but then you hear these actors either do something with it and you go, there we go, that's how that works. I had no idea, or you hear 50 in a row of just like, let's go to the train station or whatever. I can't.
Oh my God, I hate that line.
Isn't that that's the worst line. I just
go to the train station.
It's sometimes I'll know it in advance, but sometimes it just happens. And then you're like, why did I do that to myself? I'm literally like, certain characters will just torture you because that first line was like, hey, or something stupid, like some throwaway word. And then everybody says it the exact same way. And just like
getting the player's attention. And you get 50 heys in a row and you just go, oh God, please tell me there's something different.
And then there's also diminishing returns because like listening for that long, your ears are like bleeding. So
sure.
Written weirdly for some reason, like it's a typo and no one fixed it. And then every actor is doing their best to justify a word that's not even a word or a sentence.
Or just mispronunciations in general.
I if it's not a proper name, if I can see that like just is spelled with a V instead of a U or something, I'll just say just. Like I'll just assume like a jerk, but just to get through it and make sure it sounds. But if it's
if you don't say just, I am deleting your file.
Fine, then I don't want to work on that project. It worked out.
To the
I'm trying to think of a word, but there has been a word. It's something. It's like a
word you keep hearing mispronounced lately.
No, it's I want to say it's sergeant, but it's not. It's something like that. I want to say it's a military term.
It's a military term. Colonel.
Colonial.
It's like one of those. It's one of those. Exactly. And there's like, I don't know, it's a toss up. It's got to be a really effing good read for you to
mess up a word that should be. So before we get to the comments, the other end of this, what I've been hearing a lot in coaching is this fear that we performers have putting out an audition, worrying, well, okay, they want Hugh Jackman, but they also want Tiny Tim. Can I do? And it's like, that doesn't, those don't meet. So if you get confusing things like that, and I know a lot of casting directors can't stand celebrity references because then you're getting, 10 things that sound like Hugh Jackman and 10 things that sound like Tiny Tim, or a weird amalgamation of both. So I hear actors all the time just being like, I want to get it right. I want to get it right. So I get chosen. And every time I have to say, there is absolutely no way you can know what right is. Most of the time, the client doesn't know what's right until they hear it. And that's part of the casting director's job, is to know, I think this is what the client's looking for. So you have to just focus on your own stuff and know, these are my strengths. I can do this audition. I'm going to do it Walt's way. Yeah. And there's going to be a part of Walt in it.
And that's
exactly, that's what
if you
Commander Hale was talking about. That's what you guys talk about all the time. You can't
don't get it. You can rest easy. You can go, that wasn't what they were looking for. But if you don't get it, and they were absolutely looking for a Walt Gray and you screwed it up, I mean, you'll never know that because there was no other Walt Gray to hire. But you could hear somebody who did it like in a much more relaxed, laid back, just them kind of a way, and you'd be kicking yourself because you'd be like, oh my God, I thought Spider-Man needed to have like a lisp and a French accent, and I did all of this stuff.
Change it up, yeah.
And we made Spider-Man sound like making it.
Yeah, because I feel like we want to be attention getting, especially at the beginning, and I just hear all the time, I want to make sure it's the right thing. And I always say, you can't, you have to shoot your shot, have fun with it, and let it go.
I think one of the things that you can practically do on game auditions specifically is really try to convey a sense of place with your efforts and nonverbals. I think that's like one of the ways that you can make a game audition stand out. And maybe it works for animation too. But just really, I think they're so often the lines are either out of context or they give you a specific place that you're in, but nothing in the line actually represents that.
Right.
And so just like I've been trying to push in my coaching, push people to just like put themselves physically in a place so that they can then react to that place, because it's so hard in the black box sometimes to, and especially when you're not, the scene isn't perfectly set.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest.
Are you in a trench? Are you in a bar? Are you in a cave? Are you on a spaceship? And a really good actor, we can actually hear it through their voice.
And all of those, that's Michael Shirtliff, that's theater auditions. That's as soon as the place is clear to the performer and they're able, and with voice it's challenging because, like you said, convey it in the voice. But even if it's just a hint, I had someone in Skills Hub in coaching working on auditions and just character breakdown. Here's where the scene takes place, and did a fine job. And then I said, okay, remind me, where are you right now? It's like, oh, I'm on a ship. And are you, are you seaworthy, or are you? He's like, oh no, I'm not. This is, it's okay. So maybe you're a little seasick. Maybe, like put yourself on that ship. How does your character react on the ship? Is it rough waters? Things like that. And then his performance just went to a different, higher place, and he was excited because he's like, oh yeah, you just see the and sometimes we need that nudge. We just need someone or a director to just go, remember this, and the actor goes, oh, of course, my God. Because we're already trying to think of 8 different things at once to make it work. Anyway.
No, I think that's phenomenal advice. I can't wait until eventually we can kind of do a little bit more of sampling, which is something kind of Julia and I have been working on, just me writing little scripts and then we give it to people, and part of our on-demand classwork as we get into that world of having classes that you can watch whenever you want, which is something we're really working on.
That's awesome.
We'll have examples like that, because I think that until you hear it, and we are lucky because, and I've been lucky as a casting person and a director, because for me as an actor, there are things like I just didn't know. And Julia would send me another person's and I'd be like, wow, I was reading the lines, and that person was drinking a smoothie and climbing a mountain. And that the fact that of course mine's going to sound flat as hell next to that, and that no one could have ever taught me or trained me, but it didn't stop me from, I'm a great actor and I had no problem like getting representation. I had no problem doing these things, but I'm spinning my wheels if I'm sending auditions, and that's going on next alongside it. So I'm excited for us to be able to build some more example work to share with people.
Absolutely.
Because, and the reason I say we have to write it is, for anybody who doesn't know, games are completely NDA'd to the hilt. So anything that any game copy or anything like that, although we could probably use some old stuff that's already come out, and that might be fun too, is just having some of our favorite actors do a sample audition for something that already exists.
I've been able to do that for some mocap workshops. I reached out to Amy Hennig and she sent me, Uncharted 2 scenes. And she's like, yeah, go for it, because you're not, making money off of the students doing. I don't know, but she was totally okay with it.
Share with us.
Yeah, share. Creators, share your scripts with us.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, you touched on something that I thought was so important.
Creating the dynamics and like not just reading off of the page.
Yes.
Drinking a smoothie.
That was it. I almost lost a callback. I had a callback a month ago or so. I ended up getting the gig, thankfully, but the initial role, I got called back for a couple different parts. And the initial role that I was called back for, it had been so long since I read the sides in the script, and I read them again in preparation, but I did a first pass, and the casting director was like, that was fine, but can we, these first couple lines, can we get a lot more anger? Like a shootout just happened. And I went,
what?
Oh. Well, not what. It was like, oh, right.
Oh, you
like I prepared, but I missed that bit in the script. Like I thought I had done my work, but just what you were talking about, and it was like, yep. Thankfully, the rest of it went well. And the rest of it, the one that I booked, I didn't know I was getting called back for. I remembered it from my initial audition a month prior. And so she said, oh yeah, also these parts. And I went, oh yeah, no, I have it right here, and I found it in the nick of time, and then I read it kind of I remembered it from the initial audition, but it was a callback, and I hadn't prepared it, and that's the one I booked. So I think there's something also to be said about not over preparing something, because that's where I missed a given circumstance of the scene, as opposed to just being in the moment and doing it, and that's where you sound natural and justified, and you're not thinking. We get all that training and get rid of it so that we can just be present.
Yeah,
so that was an interesting learning point.
VO is one of the very rare acting worlds where too much preparation really kills you.
Yeah.
Because all you have is your voice, and if you are in a repetitive pattern and cannot get out of it, we can't get all the options we need.
Yeah.
Whereas, with any other thing, there's going to be blocking, there's going to be all these other things, and it's really helpful for you to be fully prepared, fully off book, and almost wrote. And then once you get the blocking in your body, then you can kind of throw it all away
and then let it go. Yeah.
But in VO, you've got pages and pages and pages of junk, and we got to get through it. And I need you to give it to me 3 different times. And I need you to now be bleeding. And I need you to just be, you kind of have to be a great, well, definitely improviser. And you have to be a great, like cold reader, really.
Yeah.
You should be great at cold reading. If you're not great at cold reading, it's a skill to really hone. Jen Hale was talking about reading.
She touched on that. I love that she talked about that, because so often, and I know this has happened to her and it's happened to all of us. There were times on Avengers, and this isn't a negative towards them. This is just what happens with a lot of shoots. They won't send the scripts ahead of time, or they don't have the scripts ahead of time, or maybe they'll send them the night before. But there have been times I've shown up for a 2 or 4 hour session and go, here's Phil's first monologue, here's a second monologue, and it's just like, I haven't seen any of this. Okay, yeah, can I just, you want to take a second, just look at it? Well, when you're ready, we'll start.
We're waiting, we're staring at you.
I guess we'll start, because this is what you're going to get with no preparation. And yes, the cold read is, and it helps now that they're on big screen TVs in the booth and they can zoom in for you. And that's a huge, cold reading is a big one.
And how to read like you're not reading.
It's especially big for motion capture. I think like it's an underrated, like they do always try to get scripts in advance for motion capture, because you do have to be off book.
Yeah.
That said, script changes happen super often. Scripts don't get to you sometimes till the night before. There is a lot of memorization on that side, and there's not a lot of time. So I've had clients before test cold reading in the auditions.
Yeah, sure.
Just because they want to make sure that when inevitably they throw them a bunch of shit on the mocap stage, that they're going to be able to roll with it. And it's amazing how some actors can do that without. And I don't know if it's the actor and the day and the role combination, or if some actors are just really good at that, because I've had a few. August Black came in for a performance capture audition for me a couple of years ago, and we threw him sides, and he left for 2 years ago.
Wow.
Or a year and a half. It's like December.
Time doesn't.
Yeah,
We don't know.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I know. You guys know there's been 3
It was last week for all that matters. Yeah.
3 school years.
Yep.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, he like left with 2-page scene. 15 minutes later, came back and had it on the side and knocked it out. And you're just like, what? And again, I don't know if it's like the day, but some people can really.
That skill is extremely helpful, and I think some people are naturally just great with it, naturally great with memorization. But I would also say that the opportunity, which I know is what most of us want, just the opportunity to audition again and again and again and again, not necessarily get it, just be in the room, do it, and then you're handed a page of sides. This time, another time, and then, yep, okay, good to go. I know what this is. I can immediately get to the when in games they ask you to do the face facts, and you have to, and then that sometimes breaks an audition, which breaks my heart, because if I don't do my eyebrows exactly how they want it.
Wait,
so I was just gonna say, explain to Hari what that is. Yeah.
Explain to everybody.
No, of course, yeah. So this is just specifically in video games. I've seen sometimes like one of the big deciding factors of whether or not they're going to go with a certain performer. They could be the best actor in the world. They could be amazing. They could move well on the stage. They learned all their lines. Yeah, cold read. I know it. Let's do it. Whatever, all that. But then there's the facts. Facial something. I'm not an animator, but there's somebody in charge of making sure that this, if they're going to use your likeness, if they're going to use this, will translate well into the digital world and onto a character.
FACS thing.
That's it. And sometimes they will have okay, you did the audition. Now we need you to go over here to this camera, to camera A, and we're going to be about that tight on you. And then, okay, and then you're going to mimic probably a video of an animator doing.
You're hired though. That's amazing.
Years of practice, but just, we need you to raise these. I can't, raise these eyebrows, but keep this smile, but don't show any teeth. No smile. It's all these, they want to see if you have those Jim Carrey muscles to just really make your face do everything they would need it to do to drive the digital character or to do it on the day, which is fascinating because I would also argue on most shoots nowadays, they're picking up the minutia. You're not sitting there being Willem Dafoe the whole time on a shoot. You're but I think so anyway, I've seen people lose gigs before because they weren't able to really do the fact, or they've just never. I've also seen voiceover actors come in not knowing it was a mocap audition, and they didn't get it because they didn't know they had to be on their feet and be with a reader. I've also seen a separate little booth set up in the mocap stage because this character has a lot of radios throughout the game. Okay, you killed it in the live audition. Now we need to see how you are in the booth. And that's a big thing too. And I think Julie and I, we helped with casting recently on a project where there was a little discrepancy between on-stage presence and in the booth presence, because that's two different skills for some people that aren't used to doing both of them. So now I'm seeing more and more in auditions. While we have them for these 15 to 30 minutes, they're going to do the live auditions. They might do the facts. We might put them in a little makeshift booth to make sure they can say this monologue that the player would be listening to on their headset. It's a lot to ask of a performer. And all of that, like the cold reading, I think is imperative to just roll with it, to just be your natural self. And if you just be like, yeah, I'll do my best, and be yourself and just be like, I'm going to fail at this, but you know what? Let's have fun.
Yeah, but even
that
much
energy,
that,
hopefully.
Utilitarian player thing. Like you have to be a utilitarian. There's so much that you could be called on to do, and you shouldn't be only good at one thing. It makes it really hard to sell you. You can
hard to sell you. They don't want to recast you later, or find out they have to recast you later, which has happened a couple times. Even having 3 different performers, not just stunts on the stage, but having 3 different performers play with all these different things that the client has to consider. And of course, they're always thinking about dollar signs, not just making, but the higher ups are saying, you have this much, this is your budget, So don't recast this part 3 times and that's why they have you do all those things in the auditions. Anyway, we're not out of time for questions, are we?
No, we're not out of time for anything, but I also just
love it.
like that was super valuable information. I think there's so many people who don't know, what all of this entails. Like the fact that in order to work as an actor in games, there's an idea out there, I don't know who got it or how, that this is about the easiest job in the world. Like everyone's like, oh my God, I love playing games. I talk every day.
I speak.
Day. I can talk in a game.
I'm a streamer.
How much do you guys get the question, like, how do I become a voice actor? I get it, like, every couple months, like somebody I know and have known for a long time who's never acted is like, I'm pretty sure I can do this. Can you tell me the key? And I'm like, if you find it, can you tell me?
Right. I can figure it out. I don't know if you've experienced this, if either of you have experienced this in coaching. I've had a couple of people, and this is not, I get it. And they say, hey, I've never done this before. I want to get into it. And usually just say, what would this entail? And I go, well, it's like, I don't have any training. And I say, okay, like, honestly, you don't, if you have the passion and you have the drive and you want to put forth the energy and the effort and the money that you may or may not have, and be comfortable with never being financially secure for the rest of your life, this might work for you. But I was a little, like, as a coach, I was just like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you, but I also want to encourage you to follow what you want to do and what you love. But understand, you're going to need a good mic, you're going to need a preamp, you're going to need a space. If it's not a booth, a closet, you can get it. You're going to need all these things. You're going to need an animation reel, and I go down the list of like what I was told to get, what I'm still getting. My website's almost done yet, I hope. I haven't checked in with her yet. I'm going to. She's been busy. But all these things I list and I say, this is what traditionally has been working. How do I get an agent? Well, you need these things to promote yourself. And, I kind of go through, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of commitment. So if it is a whim of just going, this seems fun, I try to be as specific, encouraging, but specific and honest as possible and go, if you're serious about this, it is a commitment. You could get lucky.
You're nice, Daddy. I mean, Mommy.
Good. Maybe I need to be a little meaner, but it's also,
I just say take an acting class because I can't. I'm like, well, first you should start with acting classes. That's the first thing.
There's that too, yeah.
Because I mean, I do
ask that question.
It's been a journey for me of would literally send somebody into like walking into the ocean to just end it all with the steps that it's taken to even get any work or to even be able to audition. Being able to audition is it takes years and years.
The work to get there,
10 years of acting and being with my agency that I'm with now to even get them to acknowledge me as a voice actor that I might be on their roster.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to do 10 years of professional work before I got there. And I do know there are some people who go kind of more direct paths into VO.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you're still going to need to know how to act.
Yeah. And I try to, I always ask them, do you have any training or have you acted before? And it's either, a little bit in college, or it's like, no, never. I go, well, it's helpful. It's a little helpful sitting over here with my MFA degree, $500,000 in debt. Just going,
but I'm gonna clear your doom a little bit, Walt, and just remind you that
this is why we're here.
Again, we are so lucky. Like, you're just so lucky because the thing that they see that sounds like fun is to sit and play characters. And whether or not we're doing 100 auditions and not booking one of them, we actually get to sit in our booth and play characters every single day. And the reason we do it without the financial security is because it's really, really fun. And we see that and so what I try to do is I try to take it as a compliment, and that, like, yes, you're saying that my lifestyle seems like something that you would find enjoyable more so than your job that you go to. And like, for that reason, it is. And then I have a lot of other things that I have to work with to keep my mental health on straight. But
and that's the balance, right? Just as human beings, not just performers, but to especially lately, to go. I've been saying this for a while now, and I really like it, or connecting with it and saying, what feeds your soul? And you should have something other than acting that feeds your soul. I've tried to get back into reading, just reading a book. It's been forever. I'm reading The Hobbit right now, and I love, because it's simple. I'm reading a kid's book, and it's kind of a kid's book, and I'm enjoying that practice just because it's very easy to get, for me, for others, I think, caught up in, this is my career. I've spent money and time on this. I'm out of school. I don't have a full-time job right now. I have to get this right. That hurts. That thinking hurts sometimes. It hurts me to, it is helpful to go, this audition is going to feed my soul. I get to play tonight. I'm going to read another chapter of The Hobbit. You know what? I'm also going to play Miles Morales, because I finally got that I can play a little bit of that game, and just, whatever feeds you. Go out to the dog park with the dogs. I finally need to do. Just started training with Murphy today. That is feeding my soul, because I see how happy he is, and he's better, he's not jumping up on people, hopefully in 3 months. So that things that we can find in our lives, that balance is everything.
Does casting feed your soul, Julia?
That's a great question.
It does, actually. I've been a paper pusher for so long, like getting all y'all paid, basically scheduled and paid.
Thank you for that.
And so it took until starting to cast it. It's like the only creative outlet I have. And so it was a really necessary evolution of my career. I think I never would have been able to handle just doing all the scheduling and papering forever.
Right.
I think you're also you're a potential person, and you're a relationships person, and a big part of where you exist on the earth for a reason. And part of it is that you're that person who can go, oh my God, you need this thing that this other person I talked to has, and then they need this other thing that you have, and you do that. And that's those people are really special on this planet. Sometimes I'm one of those people. But I get a lot of joy out of that when it works. I'm very careful sometimes about being I don't want to be involved. It's not
You're
gonna
better
work.
than I am at that.
That's legit. That's yeah.
Well, knowing when and how to have the boundaries with it, where you can't really deplete yourself. You shouldn't deplete yourself, is the point.
During the pandemic, I've been working on boundaries as well, just with friends and family, learning what that is. Not late, but it's never too late. But at this point in my life, I'm surprised that I'm still learning how to say no, or learning when it's okay to share certain things when it's not, because I've always been.
You're not late. Well, you're right on time.
I love it. I've always been a people pleaser most of my life, and that's difficult with auditions, and it has been in the past with auditions and casting directors and meeting them, because you want to make them happy, but then I want to genuinely make them happy as a person, but then I come across as an actor trying to get the job, which thankfully I've learned lately there will be other jobs. I just want to connect with this human being on this level. It's interesting. I'm rambling at this point, but
no, that's not. That's a really, really key point. Julia just reacted to something. What was that?
Oh.
A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Yes, and I knew Walt was going to be able to do it. That was beautiful.
I love those movies.
You are Gandalf-like, exactly where you're supposed to be. Also, boundaries, I think, are a later in life thing to develop. I think we're used to our lives being chaos when we're younger.
Fair.
And then chaos becomes too exhausting and your back hurts too much. You're I really gotta say no to somebody here today.
Yeah.
Because literally I won't be able to get out of bed tomorrow. So I think that, and then also you just know that you know how much your resources are worth. You have that, your worth, but that's a whole important thing to know, is casting directors, agents, even directors, anybody, they are not anybody to ever sacrifice yourself for. They're just one person with a job. They're hoping they get the next job too, by the way.
Exactly.
Hoping we're going to get our next job. So, And if they suck that bad, by the way, they probably won't get many more jobs. So go for the ones who feel great. And that's a great lesson to learn. I just don't know. I mean, when do we have to put our feet down? When are we being asked for too much? That's really hard to know as an actor, because right now, especially, I will get auditions that are 5 pages. I will do a 3-minute thing and send it in. Julia, they're only going to listen to 10 seconds of it, but they're going to make me record 3 minutes.
It's not everyone. I mean, some clients require a certain amount of material, but I push back whenever I can on too much material for that reason. Both because I think it's not fair to the actors, but also because I don't want to listen through all of that. It just takes
that's just
time.
more.
It's wild.
And if you're going to do that, I mean, ultimately you just need to do a callback then. Like you just get an initial round and do a callback.
And the other thing is, I've been getting this other thing where they don't do a callback. They just resend out the audition with the new directions.
Right.
And they go, oh, you want to do this role again? They're redoing it. Now they want this accent.
I feel like it's that could be a change.
Call back the people who you liked and ask if they can do that accent.
It's fascinating. It's still lost. Some of it's still lost on me, how some clients operate. And I think that's where the communication comes in, right? Unless someone like Julia or whoever the casting director is, or if there's a director on site, while they're putting all this together, someone can go, so what are you guys looking for specifically? Okay, great. Did you find that in these 10 in that first round? Awesome. I would suggest we focus on these 10. And I feel like a lot of companies don't have someone saying that. Maybe, I don't know. But I still see, I see those and I go, well, here's 5 pages. It's a long, great opportunity to play, and I can sustain this character. And here's 3 different scenes, 3 different great. We can get 3 different bits of the character, but it's draining, especially if you have 4 other. Like I have a block of time at night that I do all my auditions, so there's no traffic noise, there's no anything, and but it's night. It's like 10 to midnight that I'm working. But if I have all that, it is fascinating. Like how does this help you? And I think sometimes they do want to hear the full scene, but I don't know who has time for that, casting wise.
Honestly,
speculation from an actor.
I think sometimes it's also that like there's a lot of regurgitation that goes around. So someone hands someone something and that person just hands it off without making any adjustments to it.
Absolutely. And they might be on a time
guilty.
Limit.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that myself. It's easier than choosing what's relevant.
Of course.
But it's not right.
Yeah, it's detrimental to the process for everyone. It's detrimental for the client. Anyway.
Well, we had some questions. We can have you answer. That might be less of a kibitz, although I love our kibitzing.
I love our kibitzing too. I feel safe kibitzing with you too. It's great.
Yeah, you can always fetch with us. That's the great thing. There's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
But when it's the time, go for it. Because
look at the place.
You're a hard worker. If you're a hard worker, you still, that's the other thing. Like actors, we're the only job in the world where you're not allowed to be like, man, my boss is real, you know what I mean? We're like, everyone's great. I love it.
You can still say that. You're just saying it about yourself. Like, my boss is the jerk. Aren't you self-employed? Yeah. Asshole.
Do you have any memorable moments from working on the stage for that 8 years over at Sony?
Yes.
Can you tell us one that like you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, it's recorded, God of War. Most of that, I was actually AD on the first God of War and running the shoots and figuring out with the rehearsals with the cameras. I mean, specifically that day that I had to hold the boat steady while Kratos is pulling the boat with Sonny, that thing made noise like crazy, and we were shooting audio live, and it was heavy. Sonny wasn't heavy; he's a skinny little kid at the time. It's not little anymore, but they just holding that and just sweating, and but memories of God of War specifically, because that cast was just so wonderful, and that shoot was so well rehearsed.
Did you ever just get lost in it? Like, were there moments when you like just kind of forget that you're making a thing? You just feel like you're in it. Like sometimes in theater, I would feel that where I'd be like, we are actually in the 1960s. We are protesting. It is not a production.
It's rare. Yes. I mean, I know that was a specific example. But like, it's rare. It's not. When a performance is working, and the cameras are rolling, and the noise of the movement of the stage just kind of falls away. You know, Sarah dying and Joel holding her, Troy and Hannah in one, both times when they had to reshoot it again, when Neil made him reshoot it. Wasn't a dry eye on the stage, but it's just one of those moments where everybody and you just saw two people there being. It's usually emotional moments. Another moment is Spider-Man, is Nancy Linari and Yuri Lowenthal when Aunt May is dying, and Yuri, but I mean both of them, everyone, and this Phil Morris was in that scene. I'm just thinking about it, I'm getting emotional, and it's proof. It's why I do this. It's why I love doing this. Not just because I get to feel, selfishly as an audience member, I get to go, yes, release. Thank you. Emotional release. I needed this. But just at work while we're on stage and I'm holding a prop, or I'm being somebody's pocket or whatever. And I'm just kind of on my knees and I just get lost. And then I remember, oh, I have to come up and do the tail slate, or I have to, cut or whatever, because they were just, number of times like that in Last of Us Part 2. Death Stranding, that sticks out when Norman Reedus broke the bike and I had to come fix it. That's also documented. It's on YouTube. They filmed everything, like Kojima Productions. But Troy broke the bike before that. Those poor bikes. Bill Beamer had those made for Days Gone, and they have a nice little kind of thing back and forth. That Uncharted 4, we had bikes, so the bikes are back. And then another project that got canceled, we needed bikes. And
if these bikes could talk.
Yeah. I have pictures of me on the bike with Jason Spizak nibbling on my ear, and it's one of my favorite pictures. The memory is horrifying, but it's still one of my favorite pictures. But so those are some specific throughout the year. Getting to watch Mads Mikkelsen.
I love Mads. Don't talk about my husband.
I talk about him if I want to, but just I'm a huge James Bond fan. And when Jeffrey Wright came on for Last of Us Part 2 and Mads Mikkelsen came on for Death Stranding, first of all, to see these these established film and TV people just take to mocap like a duck to water. Like, it just didn't faze them. Or maybe it did, but I could never tell, because they would just get in the suit and they would just do their job. And that was the epitome. Not everybody. We had some TV, some people that came over from TV that were not able to. They got distracted by the suit. They got distracted by the thing. And as the PA, I would try to go, it's fine. Let me help you out. Hey, Walt's here. Let me tell you that you're not going to look like this in the final product. It's okay. Behind the scenes, though, they're gonna mess you up, because someday they'll show you in this mocap suit. But it was those are the moments that have stuck out. It's just meeting people that performers that I respected for a number of years as an audience member, and getting to put them in a suit and watch them work or help them on the stage has just been awesome.
What is something
Hold on. Han says she didn't know that you and her had the same husband, so I guess you got to have some.
We're sister wives.
Talking words.
Sister wives.
Oh, well, you can have Thursday. I'll take the
Thursday.
I like to go dancing. We can go dance.
and
she's got
Jeff
a whole thing going.
Hi,
I love
Jeff.
it.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Well, I like this question. What is something you know now that you want to tell your past self?
There's a lot. I'm assuming we should stay on topic.
Oh, you can dip. This is a genuine question about yourself and your progression as an artist and a person.
gonna get real on Twitch right now.
Right.
My dad said ad nauseum all the time, I'm proud of you, but it's more important that you're proud of yourself. And he would check in and ask, am I proud of myself? Which has stuck with me. And he also shared the Ralph Waldo Emerson quote about success. We think it's Emerson's. It might have been a female poet's, and I would want to give her the respect if she wrote it. So I need to do more research on that. But it's about success, and the general gist of it, one of the lines is to know that another life is breathed easier because you have lived. That is success. And I find that with entertainment. It's why I love it so much. It's why I love Star Wars. It's why I love Lord of the Rings. It's why I love these stories that have been part of our lives for so long. It's why I love certain games, is if it reaches out and touches me on that emotional level, and then in turn, I'm able to be a part of that in any process, whether it's a PA, I worked on that, and know that it helps other people. I would go back and tell my former self, keep being proud of yourself, and just know that you're going to be part of some wonderful things. And that's not going to stop for as long as you live, one way or another. And that your parents would be proud as well. That's what I would say to my younger self.
Julia, what would you say to your younger self? We put you on the spot.
No, you know what? Jen Hill asked me this for the Minute With interview, and I said that I would tell myself that everybody would underestimate me, and that to just not listen to it and keep running, because I was a girl in the game industry in 2003. There's not a lot of us, so I'm really thrilled with my trajectory, and I think it's because I designed it. So I'm one for designing your life, and putting out there the things that you want to actually be doing every day, not the, just as you guys were talking about, like, you get to play every day and it's your job to audition. It's not your job to book, it's your job to audition.
Yeah.
We hope that you book, and so getting to do every day these things, instead of some other life that I could have had if I stayed at any one of the jobs or places or things that were less exciting or scary.
Yeah.
My favorite quote is the one that goes something along the lines of, like, everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a great one.
How about you, Hari?
Yeah.
I would say that you will have everything you want, and it will take a lot longer than you think you will. You think it will, but you will have so much fun along the way. So you need to just enjoy that ride. And my advice to myself would be to, like, stop trying to impress boys, like, stop trying to, like, do what the men do and impress the men. And I think that was, like, if there were any regrets for me in my process, which there are none, because everything got me where I am now, it was because I was always trying to work within the framework that had been set up before, and everyone that I knew to idolize, and even what I thought was funny, even what I thought was cool, everything had been informed by the men who were running everything. And my favorite creators came later, but mostly came out of women who didn't do that, and who, like, didn't feel the need to do it, or felt stronger or safer to reject that trend. And I wish I had, like, done that sooner or known that sooner, but I don't think there was any way for me to know it. And I think that a lot of my opportunities and expertises came because I tried to align myself with men and successful men in my life, but it never took me all the way, because at the end of the day, they never valued the skills I was bringing to the table as much as themselves and the other boys. And I would always be kind of left behind. And so it's something that I feel I want to like kick that girl, and be like, you don't need them. Like literally everything you do by yourself, like you don't need to be in anybody else's team. Like you will run your own thing, and you will have collaborators who come to your team, but in my attempts to build the career, I think we all do this. We pick a thing, and we kind of find a North Star. And that was mine for a really long time. And that was being in comedy. I think like stand-up comedy was just a very male-dominated world. So that would be my advice. But
it's safe to say we are very thankful and happy of where you are now on your journey, because we are benefiting from it. So I think that's wonderful.
Well, and I also like, this is a week to celebrate this thing that I put out that's like so me, and it is so feminine, and it's so like, it's everything that I feel I've become as an artist, like in this, in the last 10 years. So it's really exciting. And I love the collaboration, and I love the people I work with now. And I love working with Julia, and I love working in games, and it's a lot more about playing. It's a lot less about, just competition. I think there's so much competition in the worlds that I came from, and I'm happy to be away from. We're happy to see everyone succeed. It all benefits all of us, and we like that. So I think that's a good place for me to be right now, working with other people who want to help other people succeed.
I think what you just said, we can all say is something we would tell our past selves. Someday you're going to be working with people you want to work with. You're going to be doing what you love, and hopefully getting paid. Most of the time, getting paid to do what you love.
Totally, and helping
tell my
people.
past self that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and not tearing down people to get there.
Yeah.
And you'll have lots of cool, crazy stories of times where you brushed up against like big things and fame and all of this stuff, and like maybes and potentials, and it could have almost been there, but you will end up exactly where you were supposed to be. And that if things, and I'm still always working on this, that if things were meant to go a different way, they would have. And for me, like where I am is just much more like, it's much more fulfilling and holistic, and it's all good. And I just want to be a little less scared about money, but I think that's the whole world right now. I think that's like literally, so I got to take that off of acting. That's not acting's fault. That's not creativity's fault. Creativity and acting are wonderful, and I need to like keep holding them in a happy, special, wonderful place. It's not their fault that we live in a capitalist society, and that, we're in the middle of a gigantic world event, and that everyone feels insecure right now.
I love that you said that. Thank you. Because yes. Yeah,
because we get so used to like having it be the caveat of, well, I've made this choice in my life, and thusly I will be scared that I cannot raise children properly or do whatever properly. And it's like, but that's not the creativity's fault, and it's not.
Yeah.
And if you see that, then you damn your little creative gnomes that want to come and help you.
I like that.
We must encourage them to continue to come, and know that the money will always be there. It will always come, and we will be taken care of, as we all have been before, and not for nothing. We are incredibly lucky just to even live in the country we live in, with all of the luxuries and daily. I mean, sometimes you just got to go back to hot water, and like hot water, lights on, blankets at night, sweet little doggies.
It is a
necessary
sirens. It is a necessary reminder to help kind of keep us keep everything in perspective while we still pursue what makes us happy. Well
like
said.
Reading The Hobbit.
Sometimes, yeah.
Who's your favorite character? Like favorite Tolkien character of all time?
I don't have one. Sorry, I have I have a bunch. Like, I love the whole Fellowship individually for different reasons. And probably, if I had to make it easy,
if you could play any one Tolkien character,
I'd be a hobbit off in the background in Baggin in the Shire. I would be that guy smoking pipe weed all day, eating with his feet out. That's who I would want to be in that world. I don't want to be stabbed at by orcs. I don't want to be in a wizard breakdance fight, I want to be chilling with an extra large pumpkin and a pig.
Okay,
and a
but
dog.
that's if you're gonna live in it, which I love that your brain went there.
Yeah,
but let's just say I'm casting for the stage and performance capture, and you get to be.
He's like still that guy.
Yeah, still that guy. Based on the characters already known.
Yes, and not who you think you would be cast as for body type. You could be anybody, even a female character.
Oh, that's so good, Han.
Theoden would be great. I love Gandalf. I love Gollum. And I love what Andy Serkis did with it. And I know it's, it's kind of like Christopher Walken at this point. Everyone has a Gollum, or everyone, does their Smeagol and their Gollum. But on stage, like Liam O'Brien killed it in the Shadow of Mordor games. And and there's a new Gollum game coming out, I think, or it's on its way. That character is so phenomenal. So I guess that, or Shelob. You said females as well. Shelob.
Yeah. Oh, awesome!
She's one of the ultimate females in Middle Earth, I think.
Weird to think about that. Yeah, Gollum could be played so many different ways. Like,
yeah, it's just hard it's so hard now for me to imagine him anything but what Serkis did with him.
Well, I had those books read to me when I was 8 years old, and I swear to God, in my head, he sounded just like he was played in the movies.
Well, and thankfully, yeah, again, reading Riddles in the Dark again, the S's are drawn out. He still speaks in the third person, and he speaks to himself, and you can see it's really clever in the text. Like, yeah, but also same with, I tweeted this a while ago. Same with Gandalf. I cannot imagine anyone else playing him but Sir Ian McKellen. It was going to be Sean Connery for a hot minute. Can you imagine? Nothing
Sexy
against the man, but
Han says, "Isn't Fast and the Furious just a modern day Hobbit?"
I don't understand that question.
I've never seen a Fast and the Furious.
And then she also suggested that you do Legolas.
Legolas would be.
I played Legolas in the Homemade Movies version, which I will have to share on our page.
I need to see this.
So I had a YouTube show for a few years with some friends where we did shot-for-shot recreations of movie trailers and scenes, but we like suited them, so like cardboard costumes and whatever you could like find around the house. We had this little show on YouTube from Cinefix, and we did the Lord of the Rings trailer, and we will be posting it on.
I need to see this.
Very much looking forward to this.
I called myself Fat Legolas because I just, I mean, there was nothing elven about me. I'm just a little too
too cherub-like.
Too Zoptic, too cherubic.
I'm 5'11", but my fiance says if in Middle Earth I'm a dwarf, so I would be with the dwarves, which I'm fine with too, because they drink and smoke probably more than the hobbits do. They're just not as chill as the hobbits are.
Yeah,
Get
hobbits are living the best lives. Hobbits is eating their 11sies, dinners.
Yes.
Speaking of which, I'm going to go to happy hour at our spot, Julia, that you and I went to, because that was one of the best cheese plates of my life. So yeah, me and some of my collaborators from this music video are going to be going.
Oh yeah, you guys have some classes coming up, right, on the Halp Network?
Do we? What?
Please tell us.
Why don't you do a radio commercial for them?
Coming up next on the Halp Network. No, who do we have?
That was good. Keep going.
Sarah Amelier, awesome.
She's
phenomenal. Sissy Jones, how do you guys get the best people? I know how you're the best people as well. And then you guys have one. I want to join this free intro to mocap.
You're supposed to do this as Smeagol. That was the direction.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see it. We have time. Sorry, Han. Give me a second.
Sure, we have time.
Give me a second.
If you need to go off camera and come back, okay. Change Walt to Smeagol.
I need classes. I want to see more Halp Network classes. Soon we'll have Sarah on my teaching video game VR. And then Sissy Jones. What will she be working on? Precious character VR. Yes, she will. And Brian Palermo. Practical improv. We need that, don't we, Precious? Yes, we do. Can we afford it? I hope so. Brian Palermo, practical improv for actors, and then after that, Julia and Harry. Free, Precious, free intro to mocap. Everyone, sign up today.
You better clip that. That was amazing. Thank you.
My camera went off for a second. Did I lose connection?
Here
we are. Sorry, I don't know what happened there.
I don't know who was there before. Oh my God. Can we afford it? That's amazing.
But no, this lineup is, your lineup's always impressive and amazing. And yeah, keep on keeping on. Also, Skills Hub. We all have slots open. All three of us are available to coach.
Come on in.
And if you favorite us, it will send you a note when we put time on the books.
And I'm going to be better about tweeting or social mediaing we can do that now, and I need to do that.
And
it's
we're
like, hey, I'm
all
available
for hire as casting directors, directors, and actors. So
and all of us except for Hari will be super supportive and nice to you. Hari will give you the tough love you deserve.
Yourself up.
There it is. Yeah. That's what our session would be like if I hired Hari for 20 minutes or an hour. I just don't get it. Snap out of it.
And then
love yourself. Nobody else is gonna do it.
And then next week on Tuesday, I'm going to be talking to Edward Hong, who created the PGM VO list, about his list, and just chatting with him on that and all the initiatives they have going on.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Walt.
Thanks for having me. It was great to hang out. Talked about some great stuff. Thank you.
Many more to come.
Come on down to the Twitch stream. We're just here.
Well, I've joined just so I can check in on these and comment rudely while you guys are trying to talk. So it's been really fun. So thank you for doing this. You have cleared some of my, what is it? You not clearing. You have taken care of some of my doom.
Cleared your doom.
You've cleared some of my doom. Both of you have. All of you have. Thank you.
Okay. No restoring the doom. Have a great weekend.
Enjoy happy hour.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Great rest of your week, guys. Stay safe.